Hello friends, this is something I've been thinking about doing for a while, and I'm going to do a tutorial on Findagrave. I walk a lot of cemeteries, and when I do so, I try to add as much information as possible to the memorials. Once you create a profile on Findagrave, you can see both edits that people have suggested on the memorials you've created, as well as edits that you've suggested. So you can see that I have 3 suggestions, and you can see I've actually suggested 175 that are pending for the manager of the memorials to accept or reject. Now, if they don't take action within 21 days, then Findagrave will automatically approve any edits. And if I look at an edit that's been given to my page, if it's reasonable, I usually will accept it. If it's crazy and it's within more than 2 years off from a date, then I might push back and ask for a reference. But the edits here are pretty cut and dry. For example, this says Patrick Kelly, Kelley, and the suggestion is to spell his last name Kelly. To me, names used to be spelled in different ways all the time, so that's reasonable. I would go ahead and accept that one. The next one, I did not have this person marked as a veteran, and apparently he was a veteran. He would have lived about the time of World War II, so it's very feasible he was a veteran, so I'll go ahead and accept that one too. And this one is the same idea. It's a veteran suggestion, so I will go ahead and accept that. Now, you can also see suggestions that I've sent, and some people check their Findagraves all the time, some people never check them, and some people sporadically do. So if we go to this one, you can see that this person, Amos Hardy, in Locust Grove Cemetery in Hamden, Maine, the person did not have his birth date or birth location. So upon doing some research, I found that and I've suggested it. You can scrap suggestions that are pending or just leave them until either Findagrave auto accepts them in 21 days or until the reviewer accepts or declines them. So I look at these periodically, and I do have 175 at this point, so quite a few. It ebbs and flows. Now, if you want to actually search an individual, you can go to memorials. If you want to search a cemetery, you can go to cemeteries. And there's a number of different options. So, for example, we'll pull up my great-great-grandfather's profile. And every person named Giles Day in that town would list. There's only one in this case. And this is an example of a memorial that was created by somebody else, but they passed it on to me so I can make edits. And when you own the memorial or when you manage it, you can go to edit and simply make changes. So I know this information's accurate, but if I wanted to change his date of birth to April 6th or 4th, I could certainly do that. I'm not going to make any changes. But that's where you would go. And similarly, if you don't own the memorial, let me see if I manage this one. I do. But I don't manage this one. So if you went to edit, suggest edits, and if I suggested an edit, the person would actually have to go ahead and approve it. And then it would go to edit suggestions. Now, when you send an edit, if it's something that requires explanation, you can go ahead and put a note in. Sometimes I'll do that if the last name might be really misspelled, or if it looks like a detail that would require a reference, I might add in a freeform note. Alternatively, you can contact the manager directly through a memorial, although sometimes they'll actually have an email. If I go to this person's page, then it does look like you can send a message, but that's not always the case. I do want to talk a little bit about gatekeeping, because sometimes people will make it extremely easy to get edits approved, and some people make it extremely difficult to get edits approved. For example, there's several memorial managers that always ask for a source. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because we do want the information to be accurate, and there is a lot of misinformation out there, but where do you draw the line? Some people really want you to give a detailed source, and if they don't have the source themselves on file, sometimes they'll decline it, which isn't really fair either. And then some people just accept any edits, which, although it's nice and it is efficient, if they accept any edits from me, they're probably accepting any edits from everybody. So again, there's a lot of miscellaneous random information out there, some of which is not factual. Then if you go to your own profile, you can also see other things like how many memorials you've added. I've added almost 1,800, and that's mostly in person, a few from old records, but a lot I've added from walking cemeteries. You can see that I manage slightly more than I've added. That's when people have handed over management of a memorial to me, but they created it in the first place. It gives an average of how many you've created per week, tells you how many photos you've added, and how many photo requests I have out there. So a lot of memorials do not have a picture added to them, so I'll put out a photo request. Obviously some graves are unmarked and can't be found, but you can request photos, and you can see all the ones that I've added. They'll stay up there either until somebody fulfills them or until I take them down. For example, you can see this one's been fulfilled. So I put in a request, somebody walked the cemetery, and they went ahead and added that photo. You can go to contribute, and you can actually add memorials to, and it'll ask you what cemetery they're in. Sometimes they're cremated or the burial details are unknown. You can actually click not buried in a cemetery and do it that way, and just create one from scratch. You can search pretty much any town or city and the cemetery name and find it that way. And you can go to memorials and search people by their names, when they were born, died, etc., where the cemetery might be. Findagrave is about the only site owned by Ancestry.com that is actually free. You can sponsor certain memorials, and there are ways to pay on Findagrave, but the general service is free for anybody. You actually don't even need an account in order to peruse different memorials. You do need an account to edit and post, though. It's interesting as well because the computer website and the website on a phone, you can send those messages, but you can't do so from the app, which you would think would be the opposite, but it's not. But all in all, Findagrave is a great handy tool. It's a fun hobby to just go ahead and add information as I can, and I really enjoy it.